I took care of those ruby zippers. I want those most of all. Now fly! Fly!
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 darkest moments in children's films.
What is the nothing?
It's the emptiness that's left. It is like a despair, destroying this world.
See you soon.
You want to act like a troll? Be a troll!
For this list, we'll be looking at moments in films either aimed at younger audiences or that you likely watched as a kid that are in no way kid-friendly, and were in fact pretty disturbing. Which moment on this list scared the bejesus out of you? Let us know in the comments. Number 20, Charlie's death. All dogs go to heaven. Dog-on-dog crime. Need we say more?
Look, Mr. Carface Boss, I know what you're thinking, but I don't know nothing about this. We set him up for good.
Killer.
Uh-huh.
I do not wish that I should share 50% of the business with my partner.
When Charlie B. Barkin escapes a dog pound, his business partner, Carface Carruthers, is not too pleased. To avoid sharing profits in their casino business, Carface plots to get rid of Charlie.
Charlie? I don't. Charlie, they're gonna kill you, Charlie! Oh, Charlie, they're gonna kill you!
While Charlie's intoxicated, Carface and his assistant, Killer, bring him down to a dock where they push a car downhill in his direction.
Can't keep a good dog down!
Although we don't see the death itself, it's still pretty shocking. To think that not just a character in a children's movie, but a dog, would go to such lengths for monetary gain is a scary thought. Here's to hoping we don't ever meet a dog with a conscience as bad as Carface's.
Nothing personal, Killer. It's business.
Number 19, the bear attack, the fox and the hound. While this is one way to teach kids about nature and the food chain, so many elements work in conjunction to make the bear attack absolutely petrifying for young audiences. There's the fact that the bear is as big as a mountain and has black fur and demonic red eyes. We also see Amos's foot getting snagged in his own trap, and Copper and Todd being battered around like playthings, prompting the very real possibility of significant injury and/or death. Then there's the sinister music that continuously plays throughout, which could easily scare a young viewer. This terrifying scene was no joke for 80s kids.
Come on, Copper. Get out of the way.
Number 18, E.T.'s death. E.T. the Extraterrestrial. E.T. is consistently a contender for the greatest movie of all time. It's a wonderful sci-fi flick full of rich imagination, timeless characters, and scenes that perfectly demonstrate the emotional power of cinema.
Oh, God!
Elliot.
What?
Elliot.
Case in point, E.T.'s near death. No matter how many times we watch this movie, we cringe in anticipation of the infamous scene, as we know that we won't be able to help ourselves from bawling.
Leave him alone, I can take care of him.
Don't get us wrong, it's a fantastic moment, but it's nevertheless a very distressing one that can prove too much for adult viewers, let alone children who think that E.T. has just died. Number 17, The Nothing, The Never-Ending Story. The Never-Ending Story is one giant acid trip of a movie, and one that proves the saying, they don't make them like this anymore. One of the most intriguing and ultimately horrifying concepts of the epic fantasy is the nothing.
A hole?
A hole would be something. No, it was nothing. And it got bigger and bigger.
The nothing is essentially an ominous dark cloud that represents destruction, cynicism, and hopelessness. It's a mysterious and undefined entity that erases everything it touches and compels those within its vicinity to jump in and meet their unknowable end.
What is the nothing?
It's the emptiness that's left. It is like a despair, destroying this world.
If the nothing is a little too irrational or conceptual for young kids to understand, then Artax's death in the swamp is sure to make them cower in distress. Number 16, Coraline's other parents. Coraline. Coraline is quite creepy and distressing in general, but nothing beats the sheer horror that is Coraline's other parents. This scene begins with Coraline walking in on her humming mother, who has her back uncomfortably turned to the camera. When she turns around, an ominous note of music plays, while we see that she has black buttons for eyes.
What are you doing here in the middle of the night? You're just in time for supper, dear.
We then see Coraline's other father, who is manipulated by a freaky piano into playing a song.
My father can't play piano.
No need to. This piano plays me.
The combination of the unsettling stop-motion imagery, the spooky music, and the concept of imposter parents makes this scene relatively upsetting for children and adults alike. Unfortunately for viewers, the creepiness didn't end there, and comes in full swing when Coraline's other mother transforms.
1, 2,
3! What are you doing?
Number 15, Flying Monkeys, The Wizard of Oz.
Take your army to the haunted forest and bring me that girl and her dog.
And you thought that the Wicked Witch of the West was bad. While this classic green-skinned villain terrorized many children with her shrill laughs, she's still second best in the scare department when up against her winged henchmen.
Now fly! Fly!
While their screen time is vastly limited, the sight of hundreds of these flying monsters swooping through the sky and swarming around Dorothy filled many with dread. Given how demonic these monkeys look, as well as their vast numbers, we can see why the infamy of these creatures has withstood the test of time. Number 14, Skeksis, The Dark Crystal. The Dark Crystal is one of those movies where you can't help wondering what the filmmakers were inhaling when they made it. The Skeksis are disgusting and horrifying creatures, resembling humanoids with vulture heads. Because why not? They are also rotting and have screechy, vulture voices that have the ability to really cement themselves into the nightmares of children. Scenes like the Skeksis dinner are masterpieces in imagination and technicality, but we don't think kids care about that. They're too busy covering their eyes in terror. Number 13, The Clown Dream, The Brave Little Toaster. Man, even the animated movies of the 80s were messed up. Was this decade of film meant to see just how far we could take a child's mind before it breaks? This freaky scene begins with particularly dark smoke billowing from Toaster, before it forms a hand and grabs Rob. However, that's just the appetizer. What follows is pure nightmarish pandemonium, literally, as a giant clown rises up and diabolically laughs as massive forks rain from the sky and nearly impale Toaster. It serves as a nightmare within the movie, but we wouldn't be surprised if this nightmare transferred over to the children watching in horror. Number 12, The Horned King, The Black Cauldron.
Welcome, Your Majesty. We're just celebrating our success. Oh, I mean your success.
The Black Cauldron is another divisive Disney film, as it bombed at the box office and was heavily criticized for its perturbing content matter. In fact, it was the very first Disney animated film to receive a PG rating.
Soon the Black Cauldron will be mine.
The Horned King is probably responsible, because damn. This Nazgul-looking guy is a cannibal from many a frightened child, and he is without a doubt Disney's most metal villain. Everything about him just screams awesome character, from his appearance, to his menacing voice, to his diabolical personality.
How long I have thirsted to be a god among mortal men.
Unfortunately, kids don't appreciate the art behind his character. They just see pure nightmare fuel. Number 11, Night on Bald Mountain, Fantasia. Fantasia is without a doubt one of Disney's most experimental and divisive movies. It's also one of their most horrific. Case in point, the hellish Night on Bald Mountain. The segment may be a masterpiece in animation and a brilliant melding of visuals and music, but holy crap, can it be too much for the youngins? The story concerns the devilish Chernobog, as he summons evil spirits to the titular Bald Mountain. The content matter is enough to distress young viewers, but the grotesque imagery and hair-raising music ensure that every child skip this one on their Fantasia rewatches. Number 10. Toxic Love. Fern Gully, The Last Rainforest.
What a miraculous device.
Oh, Tim Curry, we will never get tired of your performances, but we'll be damned if you don't make for a scary as hell animated villain. As an evil entity that thrives on pollution, Skeksis wastes no time in taking advantage of a local logging company and their machines to revive himself to full strength, complete with a catchy tune.
Ooh, you love my toxic love.
While his voice may be velvety smooth, his appearance is far from pleasant to look at. Then there's his final form, where he loses all sense of slickness to become some kind of diabolical beast. Pretty sure there are 90s kids who still aren't over that. Number 9. The Giant Mouse of Minsk, An American Tale.
It's the giant mouse of Minsk!
For the most part, the only emotion that this Don Bluth film conjures up is a growing sense of sadness, as young Fievel Mouskowitz continually fails to reunite with his immigrated family. That is until we get towards the finale. In a bid to take down the villainous Warren T. Rat, the Mice of New York band together to create a machine that resembles the monster of legend known as the Giant Mouse of Minsk. As it happens, its nightmarish debut not only scares the crap out of the cats, but also every kid in the audience. As dark as this climax is, at least it gets us one step closer to a happy ending.
We did it!
Number 8. The Boat, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Hang on, where are we going?
I don't know, but I don't like what's that tunnel up there. Hey, Wonka, I want off!
Thought a tour through a chocolate factory would be a dream come true? Well, think again. While the golden ticket winners and their folks get the sugary sweet experience of a lifetime, they also find themselves on the boat trip from hell.
Hang on, darling, just close your eyes and hang on tight.
As they press onwards through the tunnel, horrific images start to appear along the walls, but that's not what's most terrifying. That honor goes to Willy Wonka, who starts to sing a less than pleasant tune about how their voyage could end in disaster.
There's no earthly way of knowing
He's singing.
which direction we are going.
It may be over in the blink of an eye, but we're pretty sure moviegoers are still scarred for life from this scene.
The danger must be growing, for the rowers keep on rowing, and they're certainly not showing any signs that they are slowing.
Number 7. Fireys, Labyrinth.
What's going on?
The horror factor here works on 2 levels. First, there's the less than stellar green screen background that at times is just painful to look at. And then there's the Fireys. This film had already given us a fair amount of disturbing puppets that would give anyone shivers. But then these guys show up and things get even crazier. Not only do these creatures live up to their namesake and start random fires, but they also seem to get their kicks by ripping off their own heads and tearing out their eyeballs. Even if they do look like Muppets, seeing all those limbs flying is sure to creep you out. Number 6. Jabberwocky, Alice in Wonderland.
Mother, Father, I'm back!
Step aside, Tim Burton. This is how you generate fear in an Alice in Wonderland adaptation. In this TV version of the classic Lewis Carroll story, we see Alice return home after her crazed adventures. There is only one problem. She's now on the wrong side of a mirror.
Mother, Father, I'm here, look!
Unable to reach her parents, Alice doesn't have time to contemplate before she receives a visit from the Jabberwocky. The practical effects of the suit may not have aged well, but as far as a first impact goes, we can see such a monster petrifying any unfortunate children who happen to be watching. Number 5. Electroshock Treatment, Return to Oz. Seriously, what was with the 80s?
I don't like it, makes me nervous.
It is without a doubt the holy grail of petrifying children's movies. Return to Oz served as an unofficial sequel of sorts to The Wizard of Oz. While the initial response from critics and audiences was mixed, we can all agree that this movie is just straight up weird. One particularly disturbing scene sees a young Dorothy almost being treated with electroshock therapy.
Would you like to go for a ride, Dorothy?
It's messed up. The building tension, foreboding music, and dreary set combine to make this a supremely uncomfortable viewing experience, especially for children who may not take too kindly to the concept of a fellow child's brain being shocked with electricity.
Ready?
Yes, Doctor.
Number 4, the Chokey, Matilda.
What? Sell me a lemon? You're heading for the Chokey, young lady!
The ultimate punishment for misbehaving students designed by the monstrous Miss Trunchbull, the Chokey is a thin cupboard filled with broken glass and nails, forcing students to stand as still as can be or risk being cut.
The apple never rots far from the tree!
As if school weren't bad enough, the thought of teachers being able to inflict such cruelty probably scared a fair few youngsters straight. Here's hoping some members of faculty weren't too inspired by this.
Are you okay?
Number 3, Pleasure Island, Pinocchio.
I want to go home to my mama.
Take him back! He can still talk!
Please, I don't want to be a donkey.
For many of us, this moment from Pinocchio probably ruined going to camp when we were kids. Why? Well, because we didn't want to be turned into a donkey and sold into slave labor. Yeah, that's right. The dreaded Pleasure Island sequence from Pinocchio is every child and parent's worst nightmare.
What's going on?
Pleasure Island is a cursed place where misbehaving boys are turned into donkeys, and the transformation is pretty disturbing. Luckily, Pinocchio manages to escape with only donkey ears and a tail, but the idea of being lured away to a strange place where you're mistreated and exploited is absolutely terrifying. Come on, Disney, jeez.
Come on, quick, before they get any worse.
Number 2, the Child Catcher, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Here we are, children. Come and get your lollipops.
Remember how whimsical this film was? How its songs were delightful and the entire premise revolved around this one miraculous car? Well, for any kids who saw it, chances are the only thing they remember is this top-hatted antagonist whose sole goal was to capture children.
There are children here somewhere.
In the toy shop. There's such a notion.
Granted, we never see him do anything awful, but can you honestly watch that whole scene where he tries to lure the kids out with sweets and not feel disturbed? Despite it all being a fantasy, there's an element of real-world threat that makes this character poignantly unsettling.
Come along, my little ones.
Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are a few honorable mentions. The Red Bull, the Last Unicorn. The demonic aura only adds to the nightmare fuel of this beast. Pink Elephants, Dumbo. Talk about a bad trip.
Look out! Pink elephants on parade. Here they come. Hippity-hoppity. They're here and there. Pink elephants everywhere.
Witch reveal. The witches. We knew witches were terrifying, but this takes their scare factor to a whole other level. Troll transformation. A troll in Central Park. It's the last thing any kid wants to be transformed into.
You want to act like a troll? Be a troll!
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, The Dip, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Is there an 80s kid alive today who wasn't absolutely petrified by Judge Doom? Just saying the name probably conjures up dreadful memories that you have long since tried to bury. But the most horrific scene involving Doom is when he notices a tuned shoe while talking to Eddie Valiant. In an attempt to demonstrate how he will most likely dispose of Roger Rabbit, Doom takes the poor shoe and slowly drops it in the dip, a chemical he created that can eliminate tunes.
Remember how I always thought there wasn't a way to kill a tune? Well, Doom found a way. Turpentine, acetone, benzene. He calls it the dip.
The whimpering of the shoe, along with Doom showing no regard for its life, are what makes us shiver as we're watching the end result. Because of Judge Doom, there's now a generation of people who all share the same terrible memory. Thanks a lot.
This is how we handle things down in Toontown. I'd think you of all people would appreciate that.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.